And we're welcoming two wonderful guests today. We have Lash Fary from Distinctive Assets, Grammy official gift bags, and of course, everyone knows I like to say triple threat, but I want to just say multi-talented actor, singer, dancer, showrunner, writer, dun 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 dun, etc., etc. Columbus Short. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me today, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Nice to see
Absolutely.
you.
Nice to see you virtually all these days. So the 63rd Grammys are coming up this Sunday. So it's Grammy Weekend, a little bit different than previous years. Usually Los Angeles is hustling and bustling. There's tons of parties. And starting with you, Lash, we met years ago with your official Grammy Gifting Suites. And for people that don't know what these gifting suites are, can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, well, we started our very first ever gift lounge at the Grammys 22 years ago. This is a long time in the making. And we set up backstage at the Staples Center. We have a gift lounge where the presenters and performers, as a thank you for being on the show, get to come through and pick out all sorts of lovely gifts. They also wheel away a pre-assembled gift bag that we put together for them. And this year, the difference is that there's no on-site lounge, obviously. But we're still doing the pre-assembled gift bag part that we've been hustling and bustling on our own the last couple of days, starting with deliveries and delivering today, and we'll continue to deliver through early next week.
I love it. Now, Columbus, have you ever gone to one of these gifting suites?
Yes, I have. I was like waiting to be like, "Hey, Lash, let me put my address."
I'm gonna hook you up. You're gonna do what you like that I talk about, and we're gonna send some things.
Okay, great. No, the gifting suites was great. I remember when the first time I experienced a gifting suite, I got nominated for an NAACP award and won for Best Actor. And you go backstage afterwards, and it's like tons of free stuff, like for everybody. And it was just like one of the most amazing experiences. And then I would go to, even if I didn't go to the Grammys, I'd go to the gifting suites off-site where they had them at a hotel somewhere. So yeah, gifting suites are a major perk to the job, I guess. I love it.
Absolutely.
Like people that can afford this stuff, get it for free. It's weird.
It's not weird because we're not giving it to anyone because they need it. It's a gift. It's like at Christmas time. Your parents don't ask, "Do you need this?" You get it because it's Christmas.
Right.
And so it's the same thing.
And you also, you know what, too? I think also being in the public eye, you give of yourself. And a ton of celebrities are often supporting multiple families and, employing people and all of that. So it's often nice to just get something like, "Hey, Columbus, this is just for you." You know what I mean? That doesn't often happen. So I think that that's what's really special about these gifting suites as well.
And to be fair, it isn't just a gift. Like, I do just want to interject. Like, I do get that criticism a lot about giving things to people who could buy it. It's like, I am giving it to them, but the expectation is that they'll use it, that they'll post about it. It's a trade-off. So the brand, we give something to Columbus, and then he's on Instagram, and he's, whoever gave you that awesome hat that looks so fly on you, like, they're going to be thrilled that you're wearing that today to do some publicity. And so it's a full circle.
Yeah, he's 100% right. It's a really awesome symbiotic relationship.
Absolutely. So let's talk about some of the companies that are involved in this year's gift bag. And what I thought was really important to know is that this year we're highlighting diversity, equity, inclusion. And so Lash, why was that important to you? Especially given the times, Black Lives Matter, racial reckoning right now. Why was that important to you to make sure that it was about something else as well?
Well, interestingly enough, we've always been incredibly inclusive. This year, the Grammys issued a directive saying they wanted the gift bag to be a reflection of their new diversity and inclusion initiative, which they've launched at the Grammys. It certainly made sense. There was an amazing synergy to have. They've got this new initiative. It's all about, in the public eye, something that we wanted to sort of mirror what was going on in the world. I don't think it's responsible to say, "Oh, it's Grammy time, here's the gift bag," and not acknowledge the pandemic, Black Lives Matter, an attack on the Capitol, people are losing their, I think it's important to point out that these are all people who are giving back to their communities. We're elevating brands that are doing good. For example, Trevor Noah Foundation is doing these awesome t-shirts with Bonfire, which also did the shirt that I'm wearing. And all the shirts that are still on the Bonfire website support worthy causes like Trevor Noah's foundation.
Trevor Noah, The Daily Show, Trevor Noah?
The host of the Grammys, Trevor Noah, yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. I love that. So I also saw that there was, which is the one of the happiness planner, which I think is important during a pandemic. What's the happiness planner?
The happiness planner, which is behind me, it's a journal system, and it was created by a woman of color. She's not Black, but she is Asian. And she has this incredible journal system. They've got gratitude books, abundance. It's all different things that cause you to look inward, not just outward. And it just seemed like a perfect time to include something like that as well. We've got Converse sunglasses. I think I'm just going to attest to the fact that that's the favorite part of most celebrities when you go through the gift suite. Your favorite pair of sunglasses is whatever you got last. These are not just from Converse, they're limited edition, and these were inspired by the shoe that Dr. J made famous. So we have these from Converse. So lots of really fabulous things. That's
amazing. Now, Columbus, a lot of people don't know, and I wanted to start with this with you, that you started in the music scene with Stomp the Yard and commercials and acting, but you also produced music with Kevin Tantaroan, and then musical director tour for Britney Spears. You work with Brandi, you work with Neo. And so a lot of people don't know that you really got started in the music industry, dancing and singing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, quickly. So I started, music was first. Growing up in church, my family is completely all musicians. I was surrounded by music from a very young age. And for the early part, I was acting very young, but there was a season where I was like, me and Kevin Tantaroan, shout out to Kevin. We thought we were the Neptunes. Kevin's Asian, since we're talking about inclusion. We thought we were Chad and Pharrell. You know what I mean? The new young kids on the block. So producing music was amazing. I got to, when I was young, my boys Nissan, Stewart, and Rapture, Eric Seats, they were all working with Timberland on Aaliyah's last project before she passed. And I just remember being in those sessions, being like, I can't wait to do this, right? And obviously that was a passion of mine. But being on screen and acting and being on stage, I was a musical theater major. And so, we had to be triple threats, at school. Otherwise you were like less than, right? Everybody was talented. Everybody was multifaceted. All of it, it's kind of weird. Once I got into Hollywood and I became known as an actor, that was the box I kind of felt stuck in. It's kind of hard. People don't believe you. You can't have that many gifts, right? Like Lash has gifts behind him right now. But you can't have that many gifts. And it's been an amazing process now for me to find a way to be authentically myself and use all of my gifts to the best of my ability. So, and with my films and the TV that I'm producing, being able to put music into those films, having a relationship very young with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who for a long time were the only two African Americans on the Grammy board, right? And I always ask them, what does it take to get a Grammy? Terry would always tell me, he says, Columbus, music science, focus on the science of making music, good music, and we'll find you. So that's really like my focus now as I'm finishing up my EP, my first EP that I'm actually going to release to the world. I started in music, but I am a baby and a child of the arts as a whole.
I love that answer. So yes, I heard a little birdie told me that you've been in studio quite a bit, Columbus, and that there might be some special guest appearances. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to break the news.
There might be. It's funny because I haven't in so long. When I was in high school or going into college, which I didn't go, but I had to do a lot of voice lessons, and it doesn't matter how well you sing or not. Voice, you always want to sharpen your tool, and I hadn't taken a voice lesson in so long, and now after doing the film with Lettucey, who's nominated for a Grammy, big shout out to you, sis. Congratulations. She's played as Mahalia Jackson on Martin Luther King, but she is amazing in the movie. Her voice is amazing. Her acting is amazing. And she's been coming to the studio, and she's opened my voice up in an amazing way. she's like, Columbus, you have to use all of your voice. Like you have to use all of your voice. Like you have to stop playing. And so that's a little
right,
spring.
Right. I wanted to say it. I was like, maybe Lettuce will be on the track.
Maybe Lettuce is going to slide in.
Right.
I'm excited. I didn't want to make a project that was so feature heavy that it's always a blessing to have support from your contemporaries, right? To support your project and scratch my back and I can ride the backs of their success to get people to hear it. But I kind of am excited about the prospect of people just finding it organically. There's so many streaming services and such a large platform of music to be released of all genres and all styles for all races, types, creeds, colors, all of it, that people can find you. If you make good music, people will come. If you build it right, people will come.
I agree with that. Lash, what's your favorite type of music being around the Grammys for so many years? What's your favorite genre?
I have very stereotypically gay taste in music. So I love a good Deborah Cox dance remix.
Oh, yeah.
I love Ricky Martin. I love Patti LuPone and show tunes. Of course, the ultimate is Barbara. So my most cherished Grammy moment is when I got to take Barbra Streisand, her gift bag, and her dress at the Grammys and meet her. I have a hallway in my home that's a portrait gallery of Barbra Streisand. I have a lock of her hair framed. I'm a pretty big Barbra Streisand fan.
I can proudly say that I have a gay palette. I mean, because I love a good old Deborah Cox dance remix. Come on.
It's kind of hard to walk past.
And you can't hate on Barb. Come on.
I've lost control here. I've lost control. I wanted to talk
because I don't listen to the radio. Like growing up, I listened to the radio. So I'd be at the Grammys, and my friends who are into music would come to rehearsals because I would get them in, and I'd come back and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take you guys into rehearsal. Like, you are going to be obsessed with this new band that's playing the Grammys. They're like, I'm like, Muse. Their song that they're doing is so incredible. They're like, Muse that's been around for 20 years? I'm like, they're incredible. They're like, yeah, we know, but I discovered them at the Grammys. Or I'd walk in and Angie Stone would be singing with somebody. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I just discovered Angie Stone. And people are like, she's been around a while. So anyway, I love discovering all the hot acts when I'm at the Grammys. I don't really listen to music that much.
I love that. I wanted to talk about the Grammy Museum, and they're doing a Grammy wine with a link to the collection live. What is that about?
Well, their real gift is that they have this new streaming service the Grammy Museum does called Collection Live, and you sign up and get access to their library of such cool footage. And then they partnered with a winery to provide a bottle of wine so you can sip some wine while you're enjoying the Grammy Museum collection.
I was stuck with the wine.
Well, the wine is good. And then we also have no fine print, because I'm one of those people who doesn't know the first thing about wine. I feel very overwhelmed by it. So no fine print is a company we've included that takes all the pretension out of wine. They've got very simple choices, a very limited selection, some great reds, some great whites, and then you don't have to worry about it, which takes the stress out of it.
And Bacardi is involved in it as well, right?
Bacardi is a sponsor, and they're doing their Reserva Ocho. And so they're doing that rum and some other great gifts as well.
I love that. Now, Columbus, we talked a little bit about the Happy Journal, and I also wanted people to know that you have a book out, Short Stories, the autobiography of Columbus Short. And what I thought was important and how it ties into the Happy Journal is that there's a part in your book where you talk about cleaning your closet and doing the work and working on trauma, and how, especially in the Black community, mental health and just awareness and seeking help is not something we normally talk about. So can we touch a little bit about your book?
You have studied Oprah, haven't you? Because that was a great.
I'm Oprah 2.0.
Write it in. And when he brought up the Happy Journal, I took note of that, because when I started this process of, first of all, just healing, and I don't think it's just it's just not focused on African Americans healing. I think humans, right? We don't like to sit down with people and you carry all this stuff from childhood that you may not even realize was, hurting you as an adult. And until you get a chance to sit down with somebody. And one of the things that I took from a few of my sessions was like starting to journal things, right? When you lose your keys, what do? You retrace your steps, right? And find out, where did I lose them back there? And I was in a season of where did I kind of lose myself or lose my way? So I started from childhood and started journaling, literally up until my present moment. And in that process, a publishing company reached out to me randomly and asked if I was interested in doing a book. And it was like, I think I'm kind of writing a book right now. I don't know. I'm like, I have all these excerpts from my journal. And then that process started. And in the process of writing a book, it was so healing, so cathartic. It's very tough at times to reopen cans that have been closed. But one thing that I realized is that when you do that work, when you do clean out your closet, your proverbial closet, you make room for some wonderful new things to come into your life. And you get rid of all that old baggage, all that old stuff that's kind of, that's damaging to you, unaddressed into your adulthood. So that's kind of what I really wanted to focus on in the book, and to speak to the fact that it doesn't matter what your journey is. We're fallible as, human beings. It doesn't matter what your station in his life. If you're, run a Fortune 500 company, or you're an actor or a celebrity or a singer, or, you're just a stay-at-home mom, you can make it through anything. And if you really do the work, if you really, really do the work, you'll come out so much stronger in the end.
The live chat is popping. Lydia wants to contribute and say, healing, therapy, and growth is sexy. Absolutely, Lydia.
I agree.
And
so Columbus, is your book it's short stories? That's an autobiography at the same time?
Autobiography. It's called Short Stories. So it's we didn't want to write like just a linear book. It's a compilation of a bunch of stories. I've lived somewhat of a Forrest Gumpish life. I've done everything, from I've had some amazing experiences. I've traveled the world 7 times over, and I've gotten to work with amazing people. And, I've experienced racism as a kid. I've experienced racism in Hollywood. Some of my family members on both sides are, gay, and I'm what went through and their struggles and how that affected me personally, and opened up my mind to I'm a very open person, right? But have grown up to be that way because of how I was raised, who I was raised around, my tolerance. And I wanted to educate people about that. I think, my people, African Americans in this season, even speaking to, let's say, what happened with this guy from the Miami Heat, who just got suspended for some anti-Semitic comments that he made. Seemingly, he's saying that they were, he didn't know those were hurtful things. But we need to educate people on how to speak. We need to educate people on, what hurts other cultures. We've been, we know the N-word hurts, right? We don't know what hurts other people. But I think it's time for us to look at each other as human beings. The color of our skin, we all bleed the same. And I think that's what I wanted to put in my book. Like, it doesn't matter if you're white, black, Asian, whatever you are, Hispanic, what language you speak, what religion you are, pain is pain. PTSD is PTSD. Love is love. Fear is fear. Hurt is hurt. And joy is joy. So I think, showing that, I think hopefully that's what people will take away from all of the stories that I have in my book. At least one of the stories can identify with somebody somewhere.
It's beautiful. And I want to
Hey, I just wanted to say one thing about that, because it sort of ties into, you're going to have to collaborate with Mel. She wrote a book called Changemaker Village, and it's an anti-racism book that we've included in the gift bag. And it's a child's journey, but the sad reality is that a lot of adults can learn a lot of lessons in this book. And there's little action items that can happen. And it's exactly what you were describing. The whole point of the story is that children only know love until they're taught otherwise. And so it's Tom's journey, and I think you should collaborate with Mel on maybe a sequel book that's also part of a man story, because this is 2 little girls, and you could sort of be part of the sequel.
Yeah, I love that, because I didn't get to talk about it in my book. One of my best friends, I moved to Arizona my sophomore year of high school, and I met this kid named Tyler Service, and he actually changed the trajectory of my life. My freshman year of high school, I'll keep it quick, I was getting in a lot of trouble. I was this very educated kid, you know, but we moved to the inner city. So I'm talked like a white boy is what they'd say, right? Dude, and so I had to assimilate very quickly, and I got in a lot of trouble. Like, I had to fight, I had to prove myself that I was, you know, street enough to be, to make it, right? But I moved to Arizona for a year to get away from LA. And I met this kid named Tyler Service, and he's Mormon, and he became my best friend. And one day we were in art class, and he said, Columbus, you should come try out for this play at Valley Youth Theater, which was like this big theater company in Arizona. And I ended up trying out for the play, and we were doing Wizard of Oz. I played Cowardly Lion, and I got nominated for a Zony, not to be confused with a Tony. And it changed my trajectory, like, completely. I was, and I thank Tyler Service to this day. And we're best friends. So like I said, it doesn't matter what religion you come from. It doesn't matter what you are. You're taught hate. We're taught this divisiveness. I'm so excited in this new chapter we have as a nation, with Kamala in office and Biden now. We can start getting rid of this divisiveness and start trying to look at each other as human beings and just simply Americans, you know?
Absolutely. And part of what I also wanted to talk about, because I feel like it ties in with this pandemic and us talking about mental health and cleaning out our closets. A lot of us are spending a lot more solitary time. And I know last you and I touched on it before we went on air. But I did want to talk about 99 Guard and their collaboration with How to Save Lives initiative. Do you want to speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, they make face masks, you know, and they've been doing so much work to make sure that they get into communities that need them and to protect as many people as possible. And it's just been inspiring. You know, what I have to say about the inclusivity of this year's gift bag, I think from the outside looking in, people are like, oh, it's so amazing. It's like, well, what's amazing for me is that we've never excluded brands, but what today's initiative taught me is that I've also never spent the proper amount of time finding out brand story and what they've done for the community. And for each and every brand that we included, I took the time, what is the story? Who founded it? What were their struggles? What are they giving back? How are they giving back? And so sometimes it's just about taking that extra time to learn more about what a company is contributing and how they're contributing positively and if they're contributing positively.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, there is a little bit of controversy over the Grammys this year. A few artists have spoken out against it. You just talked about this?
No, we're just talking about this.
And so I wanted to get both of your takes, because you guys both have different perspectives on Grammys and music and award ceremonies specifically. So I'm going to start with you, Columbus. You know, the Weekend has been quite vocal, but he has not been the only one that has been speaking out against the Grammys. What are your thoughts on that?
I was just talking about this. You know, it's just because you make a movie doesn't mean you have to be nominated for an Oscar. Just because you make a song doesn't mean it has to be nominated for a Grammy. It doesn't, just because your movie is #1 in the box office doesn't make it an Oscar nominated worthy movie. And not to say that Weekend's project wasn't, but just because you said, like, artists like Norah Jones, she was nominated for a Grammy because I go back to what Terry Lewis said, music science, right? Good music. There's a criteria that the Grammy board goes on. It's not I don't think it's any personal attack to any artist in particular. If you make the kind of music that is pushing musicianship forward, you'll get nominated, whether your album sells 10 copies or 10 million copies. So I think, I think certain artists are just in their feelings, and that's my take on it.
And your thoughts, Lash?
Mine are very similar. You know, the Weekend situation specifically seemed very sour grapes to me. I think you'd be hard pressed this year to look at the nominees across the board and feel like there wasn't a diverse selection of nominees. And it's the same thing. Like, I think he's a musician. I think his songs are incredible. And to quote Barbra Streisand, just because I've already laid the foundation for that, she was being honored with a tribute by FI. And she was like, you know what? People remember the work. They don't remember the awards. She was like, this award is very nice. She was like, but what I look at is, was the song something that you remember? Was it used at your wedding? Did you play it at your mother's funeral? Does it touch your soul when you hear it? And I think that's the biggest measure of music, not whether or not you won a Grammy, although that's pretty nice too.
Like, for example, things that affected me, I haven't been inspired in so long, honestly. I'm inspired by people that, aren't out and that we don't hear. But when Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak just dropped this video and this new group, Silk Sonic, I was like, oh my gosh, music is back, right? It was something about it that you can put that song in any generation, any time frame. That song is timeless, and that song that was deserving of them to now be gracing the Grammy stage or remote stage and performing live at the Grammys because it's good music, right? So that's just a small exhibit A,
And also the Grammys is a peer award. It's voted on by your peers. It's not a small committee of 92 people like at the Globes, all white people who are voting on these awards. It's a very diverse organization with thousands of members who there's not a little room of old white men who are getting these nominations.
Right.
We're going to play a game. We're going to do some forecasting on one specific category. So this year,
if we're going to play a game, one of my favorite items in the bag, it's actually called Poetry for Neanderthals, and it's a word game, and you can only use one syllable words to let people guess. And if you mess up, you hit with an inflatable notepad. So my whole life, I felt like I needed this because I just want to walk around saying no and hitting people with an inflatable bat. So
I love it. Okay, so we're in the rap category for this year's 63rd Grammys. And the nominees are Sean featuring Nipsey Hussle, DaBaby, Jack Harlow, Little Baby, Meg Thee Stallion featuring Beyonce, and Pop Smoke. Who do you think is going to win the Grammy?
You first, Lash.
Meg Thee Stallion.
I was already. Yeah, you're not gonna. It's the year of the woman, right? And what bigger record was Meg Thee Stallion? And then how do you make a big record bigger? You put Beyonce on it. That's how.
I mean, that's it.
There it is.
That was my guess as well. Anything that said Beyonce and then Meg Thee Stallion, who has been doing so much this year, I was like, I don't know. Although, maybe the Nipsey Hussle.
It's either going to be Big Sean, Nipsey Hussle, or definite. I'm going first place. My first choice is Meg and B.
Ditto. I think we're all in agreement. Live chat is saying the same thing. Meg.
I think you can always go with Beyonce unless Adele happens to be nominated in the same category. And I don't think Adele made a rap album this year, so I think we're safe.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to also mention just a few more of these amazing companies that are involved in the gift
That's
bag.
it? The only category we're guessing?
Yeah, just the one. Just the one category. I wanted to do a whole list, but I wasn't sure our time frame. So I wanted to talk about this Bright Brush Game Brush product. That's for children, right?
I mean, it can be for anybody. Yes, it is specifically for children. There's built-in. I'll turn it on for a second. So basically, it has all these different games and lasers, like you're playing Space Invaders, like Rock Band, music sections. And as you are brushing, it engages the kid to want to brush longer. So it's just a fun way to teach your kids to brush properly.
I need that in my life.
Those are one of those things that I wish I thought of. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's brilliant. Like, brilliant.
While you were working on your short stories, somebody else was inventing a game brush.
And then because for the female and even for the men as well, but skincare, especially in this pandemic, like I've been feeling like the skin is dry because I'm washing my hands more often and showering more often. You have the Miage skincare.
This is so incredible, and I can tell that Columbus, much like he mentioned his gay palette when it comes to music, I'm guessing based on the quality of his skin that he's into a little skincare as well. So we've got Miage, and what I love about the packaging is incredible. This is their eye elixir. It's got a metal roller ball. When you apply it, you never even have to touch it. They're doing a 3-piece set. This uses human stem cell science to rejuvenate and revitalize your skin. but the packaging is significant. When you open this, you're like, this is legit high-end skincare, which I always love. I love packaging.
Lash nailed me, right? He nailed it. I
liked it the way you said it the first time.
It's funny because my wife is like, she has all the accoutrement, like the stone roller, and she always is like, babe, you have to try this. So I do it all. I love the skin regimen that I have.
Well, we're gonna send you some Miage, and you and your can fight over it.
Great, can't wait.
And I'll send you that so you can beat her off, so you can get it.
I would be remiss if I don't talk a little bit about your comeback, Columbus. And what I want to say, just for the limited experience and just being an overall fan of your work, because I know that you put in the work, I don't even want to call it a comeback. I feel like there are so many comeback stories. And what I guess I want to know for you is, what's been the hardest part for you to get your position back?
Well, I have to answer this. Let me get my charger because my computer is going to die. I'm going to answer this question right now. Finish the question. I'm plugging in my computer.
So, because, okay, for example, and I it's the biggest example that I can think of, but if we look at award-winning Robert Downey Jr. and where he started, where he was for a very long time, and now that he's at the top, Hollywood kind of forgave him and forgot. Like, a lot of people forget his spotty history. And I feel like that's not been your same experience.
It's funny that you say that and you use Robert as an example, because I admire him so much. Just from, he's the prime example of, you can be at the rock bottom, but when you decide to take control of your life, you can end up Iron Man, right? And long story short, no pun intended. And when you talk about comeback, it's always been this kind of thing as being an African American. I've always had this insecurity, like, how long am I going to be allowed to do this, right? Like, it's too good to be true at times. I get to do what I love to do and get paid a lot of money to do it, right? And work with amazing people, some people that I would have dreamed of working with. And so when my life began to impede that ability to be able to do that, it was a very low time for me. But one resolve that I had was that I wanted to come back and be able to do it bigger, better, with a more sound mind. Everything happened really fast for me. I was thrust into a position quicker than I understood it. The responsibility that comes with being in the public eye. We all want to win awards and do these things and make, #1 movies and #1 TV shows, but there's a responsibility that comes with that, right? You have to be a leader. You have to be an example. You have to live a life off camera that will line up to all of those aforementioned qualities that I said. And so I was talking to an executive recently, and I said, what's the difference between me, Robert Downey Jr., and Joaquin Phoenix, I guess you would say, or Shia LaBeouf?
You used Robert Downey Jr. as an example?
Those are the three names I used: Robert, Joaquin, and Shia. All whom have had multiple chances, right? And he said it. I didn't say it. He said, "You're Black." And he said, but I think it's time we change that. And it was encouraging to me because, everyone has made mistakes, right? White, Black, whatever in Hollywood. And Hollywood jail is real, right? Hollywood jail is real. But I think as much as everyone hates to see a downfall, everyone loves to see a comeback. Sylvester Stallone, working with Sylvester Stallone recently on a series that I was producing, and working with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is the perfect example of a comeback. He's living his best life. He's an amazing man, amazing man, despite all of his challenges. And that's what my goal is right now, is not only to do great work on screen, but to come out this time a leader in my home, a leader amongst men and women, and a great father, husband, and in turn, a better artist.
That's excellent. I love that answer. I really do. And I am wishing you all the best, because I know that you are Uber talented.
Absolutely.
Lash, I do want to talk a little bit about PETA because it's PETA, and PETA is part of the gift bag as well, correct? And it's Save the Ducks.
They are. And before I mention PETA, I wanted to answer the Columbus question of what's the difference between him, Robert Downey, and Joaquin, and that's that you're much better looking than either of them. But that notwithstanding, we're going to go on to PETA, who for years has been introducing me to cruelty-free companies that are so amazing. This year, they introduced us to Save the Duck. So Save the Duck is a cruelty-free vegan outerwear company. So these stars are going to get to go on the website, choose whatever coat they want. They can be warm and stylish while they're walking their dogs in the morning. And it's all come because of PETA.
Now, I have wanted a pug for many, many years, and I want to rescue one. And I did see too that there's a GPS company, GPS dog tracker.
Yeah, that's for people so they can keep their pugs away from you so you don't steal them, apparently.
And get shot.
But it's,
right. I wonder if Gaga's dogs had that GPS track.
They do
apparently
now.
Not. I was gonna. It's so funny. I'm gonna send her one because I'm like, girl, you need this. But it's called Tractive, and it's a little GPS tracker. You can put it on cats too. Any furry friend. And it's just on the collar. You can track them just like the feature on your iPhone where it's like track my phone, find my phone. You can find your dog. What's cool is that you also track their physical activity. So it's kind of like a Fitbit. So you got an older dog and you want to make sure they're exercising enough and all that. And you can also set up a virtual perimeter. So if they ever go out of a certain area, you'll notify it on your phone, even if you're not home.
Oh, that's great.
See, I need that. And they're asking in the live chat, yes, she did find her dogs. And apparently the woman that found the dogs and returned them, she wanted to give like a $50,000 reward, and the police were like, wait, we're gonna wait on that because she may be involved in this whole thing. So for the live chat, that is the update with that. Gentlemen, this has been fantastic.
It's been great.
I'm so excited about the Grammys this Sunday, CBS, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'm going to have you guys back. Lash, I appreciate you as always. Columbus, thank you so much for your time. And just so that our viewers in the live chat know, I'll start with you, Lash. Where can they find you on social media, and what are you up to next?
My work Instagram is Swag Assets, which is where I recommend people go because I'm a little polarizing on my personal Instagram page. And so go to Swag Assets. And Columbus, I'm going to send you a message so that I can hook you up with some stuff. Great.
Appreciate it. I'm at official C Short on IG and Columbus Short, the #1 on Twitter. And like I said, I have the Remember Me, Mahalia Jackson story coming out in the fall with Let Us See, which I'm excited about. I have True to the Game 3 coming out in May. I'm show running a new series, 10 episodes. I can't tell you all about that yet. We're about to start casting, and that announcement's coming soon. So good stuff coming down the pipe.
I love it. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend, and we'll do this again soon. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.